It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, and you're watching someone you've never met unbox a watch that costs more than your monthly rent. He's laughing. His apartment looks like a hotel lobby. His girlfriend is impossibly attractive. He drives a Porsche to a coffee shop where a single drink costs $14, and he buys two, one for the camera. You watch for 4 minutes, then you scroll. Now it's a woman in Santorini, white dress, blue water. She's drinking something pink from a glass the size of a small bucket. The caption says, "Living my best life." The post has 200,000 likes. You give it one more. Then it's someone your age, maybe younger, talking about how they quit their 9 to 5 and now make money while they sleep. You put the phone down, you stare at the ceiling, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a question forms that you can't quite shake. Why doesn't my life look like that? That question is not innocent. That question is expensive. And today, we're going to talk about exactly how much it's costing you, not just emotionally, but financially, and why the entire system is designed to make sure you never stop asking it. This is not a video about social media being bad. You've heard that speech. You don't need another person telling you to put your phone down and go touch grass. This is about something more specific, more insidious, and frankly, more interesting than that. There's a financial mechanism running underneath the surface of your feed, a machine with moving parts that connects influencer culture to consumer debt to corporate profit. And most people scrolling through it have absolutely no idea it exists. By the time we're done here, you will. Let's start with a number, $1 trillion. That's the approximate amount Americans spent on personal consumption in a single quarter of 2023. Not necessities, personal consumption. Dining, fashion, travel, electronics, experiences. The category economists politely call discretionary spending, and that the rest of us call stuff we buy because we want it. Now here's the uncomfortable part. The United States personal savings rate, the percentage of income people actually set aside, dropped to around 3.4% in late 2023. For context, in the 1970s, that number sat around 12%. In some European countries today, it hovers near 15 to 20%. Americans are spending more and saving less. Not because they're earning less. Real wages have actually grown over the past several decades. They're spending more because something shifted in the culture. Something changed in the psychology of wanting. And the timing of that shift lines up almost perfectly with one thing, the rise of the social feed. To understand what happened, you need to go back to a concept economists have been studying since the 1890s. A man named Thorstein Veblen wrote a book called The Theory of the Leisure Class, and in it he described a phenomenon he called conspicuous consumption. The idea was simple. Wealthy people don't just buy things because they need them. They buy things to be seen buying them. The purchase itself is a signal. It says, I can afford this, which means I am successful, which means I have status. For most of human history, conspicuous consumption had a natural limit. You could only be seen by the people physically around you. Your neighbor could see your new car. Your colleagues could see your watch. Your social circle was maybe, generously, a few hundred people. Then social media happened, and suddenly your social circle became infinite. You weren't just comparing yourself to your neighborhood anymore. You were comparing yourself to a curated highlight reel from millions of people, and specifically the ones the algorithm decided were aspirational enough to keep you watching. Veblen's theory didn't break, it just scaled. Here's where it gets mechanically interesting. Social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of them, are not in the business of entertainment. They're in the business of attention, and they sell that attention to advertisers. That's the product. That's always been the product. But raw attention isn't enough. What advertisers actually pay a premium for is desire. They want you in a specific psychological state, one where you feel a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because a person who feels that gap is a person who is willing to spend money to close it. So the algorithm, trained relentlessly on engagement data, learned something fascinating. Content that triggers social comparison keeps people watching longer. Content that makes you feel slightly inadequate, but in an aspirational way, not a depressing way, generates more scrolling, more clicks, more time on platform. The feed is not showing you random rich people by accident. It is showing you rich people because that content performs. It drives the behavior the platform monetizes. And the more you watch, the more calibrated it becomes. It learns your exact threshold. It finds the precise version of the life you wish you were living, and it serves it to you on a loop. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is just the business model. Now, layer on top of that the influencer economy. By 2023, the influencer marketing industry was worth approximately $21 billion globally. Think about that for a second. $21 billion paid to individuals to integrate products into what appears to be their authentic daily life. The genius, and I use that word deliberately, the genius of the influencer model is that it solved a problem advertising had been struggling with for decades. People hate ads. The moment you know you're being sold something, your defenses go up. You become skeptical. You push back. But what if the ad didn't look like an ad? What if it looked like your friend showing you something they genuinely loved? That's the influencer. That's the whole trick. When someone you follow, someone's apartment you admire, someone's body you admire, someone's relationship you admire, casually mentions that they use a certain skin product, or invest through a certain app, or buy their clothes from a certain brand, it doesn't feel like advertising. It feels like a recommendation. It feels like social proof. It feels like this is what people like me, people who have figured it out, people who are living well, this is what they use. The psychological term for this is parasocial influence. You feel a relationship with this person. You trust them. And that trust has been quietly packaged and sold to whoever's paying them that month. And here is where the math starts to get brutal. Let's build a real scenario, nothing extreme, just an ordinary person doing ordinary things, making ordinary financially questionable decisions in response to what they see online. Meet someone, let's call him Daniel, 27 years old, makes $55,000 a year, not wealthy, not broke, squarely average. Daniel sees his feed every day. He sees the clothes, the restaurants, the travel, the gear. He's not reckless, he's not buying yachts, but he makes small adjustments. He upgrades his phone a year early because a creator he follows showed a new model that looks genuinely better. He starts going to a brunch spot on weekends that he saw on a local food influencer's page, $45 a visit, twice a month. He buys a gym outfit because the ones he has feel suddenly inadequate next to what everyone on fitness TikTok is wearing. He books a long weekend away because 3 different people he follows went somewhere similar and the content looked incredible. None of these decisions are catastrophic on their own. Individually, each one is defensible. The phone is a tool. Brunch is social. Exercise gear is for his health. The trip is for his mental well-being. But add it up over a year, and Daniel has spent an additional $4,000 to $6,000 responding to his feed. That same $4,000 to $6,000 invested at an average stock market return of 7% annually would be worth somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 in 20 years. That's not a number I'm making up. That's compound interest doing what compound interest does. Daniel didn't feel poor in the moment. He felt like he was living. But that's precisely the trap. It never feels like a trap while you're inside it. It feels like choices. It feels like culture. It feels like being alive in the world. Now, let's talk about the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Most of the people you're comparing yourself to cannot afford the life they're showing you.
This is documented. A 2022 Lending Tree survey said that nearly 4 in 10 Americans said they'd gone into debt trying to keep up with friends or peers, and a significant portion cited social media specifically as the driver. Another study by Credit Karma said that 39% of millennials admitted to spending money they didn't have to maintain a social media image. 39%. That's not a fringe behavior. That's nearly half a generation performing wealth for an audience while quietly drowning in the negative space behind the frame. Here's the irony that should make you pause. The person whose vacation photos made you feel like your life was in